Hey everyone, my name is Mike Galzinski, and I'm going to be your instructor this upcoming semester. Because you can see that I've got a very long and tricky Polish last name, feel free to just call me Mike. That'll make things a lot easier. Now, I look very much forward to getting to meet all of you this upcoming semester and throughout the rest of the year. But before we do that, I thought it would be a good idea to introduce myself and the rest of the teaching team. So in these following slides, you'll hopefully get to know me and the rest of the team a little bit better. I was a student just like you at the University of Maryland. This here is actually a picture of me in the ENES 100 class, the infamous class that every freshman engineering student has to take, and in this case, we had to build a hovercraft, not as the students do today, where they build an oversand vehicle. But my experience was awesome. I loved being a student at the university, and I loved my time in ENES 100, which is really where I fell in love with engineering and what has ultimately led me to want to become a faculty member at the university and share my passion for engineering with each and every single one of you. Now, what's my background? I graduated from Maryland with a degree in the best engineering possible, which is civil engineering, structural track to be specific. I graduated in 2012. And right after I graduated undergrad, I decided I didn't have enough school and I really wanted to continue to pursue teaching and to pursue my passion. So I went to the University of California, Berkeley out west and studied a degree in energy and sustainability engineering. I graduated from that degree in 2013 and started a PhD. Now you can see the years here, 2013 to 2015, which you might think, holy shnikes, Mike graduated immensely fast from his PhD. Well, I can give you a little secret to how I graduated so quickly. I quit. Now, why did I quit a PhD? The reason I did that was because I wasn't as passionate about doing the research as I was about teaching and sharing my passion for engineering with students. So I had the opportunity to come and teach at University of Maryland, my good old alma mater, and I'm now still technically a student in addition to teaching here, and I'm in the College of Education studying science and mathematics, and especially engineering education, and how to do that more effectively. Now, while I'm technically your teacher of ENES 102, I want you to think of me not only as your teacher, but also as a resource for connections at the University of Maryland. As a student, I participated in all sorts of different activities. I was an engineering campus tour guide, and I actually, back in the day, got an award, no big deal. Top Clark School ambassador. But I was also an undergraduate advising office and teaching assistant. I worked as a UTF for both ENES 100 and ENES 102, participated in the concrete canoe team, worked on various construction internships, and I even won an award down there. Pretty cool. Also participated in the Alumni Cup, which hopefully many of you will get to see and experience one day at the university, which is essentially a giant competition between all of the engineering majors to build a Rube Goldberg machine. At UMD, I also did a couple other things that were pretty awesome. I studied abroad in Sydney, Australia, and got to see the fireworks over the Sydney Harbour Bridge in January and New Year's. I did Habitat for Humanity in Fort Lauderdale and got to hold an alligator, which is pretty cool. And I also fell in love with cooking and baking while at the university and threw many dinner parties and baked more cookies than I can even count. So what do I do now? I teach at the University of Maryland. I've been a member of the Engineering Keystone program for about 5 years now, 2015 to present. And actually each summer I still continue to teach at the Stanford University summer camps for students that are interested in engineering and other disciplines. In addition to those, I also have been a leader and teacher of several different study abroad programs, one of which is to Iceland. The course is ENEME 407, and in Iceland we call it the Land of Fire and Ice. And really the idea of both study abroad courses that I teach is that it focuses on sustainability, climate change, and renewable energy systems, particularly geothermal energy systems. In Iceland and the other location, Costa Rica, they are both full of volcanic activity today and in the past, which allows these countries to generate nearly 100% of their electricity with purely renewable energies. And we get to learn more about how they do that and how geothermal energy actually really works. And we get to do some really awesome stuff. We get to hike on volcanoes and glaciers. And it's pretty much an upper level elective for every single engineering major. So if you're ever interested in studying abroad, feel free to reach out to me. and I can tell you more about my programs as well as many others that are offered at the university. In addition to teaching, my other biggest passion is baking. Everybody knows that I'm a baker, and pretty much every time I come in each day to campus, people will ask me, Mike, did you bake anything today? Some of the things you can see here that I've baked are my infamous lemon bars. In the top right corner, we've got a snickerdoodle, a delicious cinnamon concoction. In the bottom right, we've got some homemade pretzels. And then in the bottom left, you might be wondering what those are, but they're a tasty treat from Portugal. They are Portuguese custard tarts, or pastéis de nata. Highly recommend. Extremely tricky recipe though, and definitely worth it though. In addition to baking, I also love to travel. As you can see back over here, I've got my Golden Gate Bridge map, and actually, as you'll probably see later in the class, I've got a giant map up here in the corner of my room as well, because I'm always trying to plot where am I going to travel to next. Thus far, I've traveled to 32 different countries around the world, mostly in the last 5 years. And I can tell you that my most recent trips were actually in Central America. And I can tell you it was some of the best trips of my life. I had an awesome time. But it's pretty unsatisfying when you come back and you have a travel map to scratch off those little tiny countries. So my advice to you, if you haven't started traveling yet, or you're looking to travel, go to all the really giant countries. Go to Brazil. Go to Russia. If you go there, you'll scratch your map off and it'll look really impressive right away. So some of my most recent travels, I went to Panama, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica over the course of 23 days. And actually, in 2-day span, I not only saw bioluminescent phytoplankton and shooting stars on a beach in Costa Rica, but the very next day I actually saw real-life lava inside of an active volcano. I'd have to say that was some of the best experiences traveling I've ever had. And also, not included in that, is I also saw a man have his body rubbed in chocolate by a crazy tour guide, which was also awesome. Before that, my big trip was last summer, 2019, and I did all sorts of really cool stuff. Traveled for 53 consecutive days, went to 13 countries, 23 cities, and there's a list of all of them right there, but one of the things I'm particularly proud of is that I got to explore my family history a bit more, and I actually made my way to Poland, and in particular Warsaw, where I found a street named after me. No, it's not named after me, unfortunately, but it's named after people that I believe I'm related to. And some fun fact about ski. In Polish, ski means of or from. So my last name is implying that I am of or from the town of Galchen, which is actually a very small town with mostly more cows than there is people. So I haven't visited there yet, but maybe next time. So that's my personal introduction. I love to teach, I love to bake, and I love to travel. Now let's learn a little bit more about your teaching team.
Hello, my name is Emily, and I will be one of the UTFs for the summer section of ENES 100. I wanted to start by talking a little bit about me. I am a rising junior studying mechanical engineering, and I'm also minoring in Spanish. So if you guys have any questions about how that is, like especially balancing an engineering major with a language minor, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about it. I'm from Timonium, Maryland. This is actually my second time being a UTF for this class. I also worked with Mike last semester, so it was a lot of fun, and I'm super pumped to be back and working with you guys. A couple organizations I'm involved with on campus are Engineers Without Borders, specifically the Nicaragua project. I'm also a member of Alpha Phi Omega, which is a co-ed community service fraternity, and I'm also involved with the Catholic Student Center. I also wanted to talk a little bit about why I chose engineering, and specifically why I chose mechanical engineering. In high school, I was very much a STEM person. I loved all of my math and science classes, so I knew I wanted to do something similar heading into college. What drew me to engineering specifically was how hands-on it was and its emphasis on creativity. I just love that you get to come up with your own solutions and implement them. And especially, one thing that always just blows my mind is the impact that engineering has just to make the world a better place. Like, I think about not only are the things you do as an engineer cool, like you get to build stuff and come up with ideas, but the things that you build help other people do their jobs better. Like, I think of medical devices helping doctors perform better surgeries, or even like designing roads to get people to their jobs in the morning, like helping just everything run smoothly and just, helping everyone do their jobs better. And that's just something that I think is so cool because the impact just goes far beyond just what you do yourself in your own, your own workspace. I also wanted to share a couple of fun facts and weird things about me. A couple of my hobbies include running and drawing. I ran cross country in high school, so it's just something that stuck with me. And I'm currently training for a half marathon, but I'm also injured, so fingers crossed. I'm hoping that goes well, but we'll see in November. I also really like drawing. It's just a fun hobby. It helps me kind of practice creativity and just helps me like reflect on my surroundings and things like that. I also am a morning person, which I didn't realize was weird until I got to college. It was very odd for me to wake up at my normal time, like 6 or 6:30, and then realize that like on the weekends the diner wasn't going to be open till 10. It's a huge culture shock. But yeah, it's a weird thing. But I am the kind of person who tends to be more productive in the morning than I would be at night. I also really like soccer juggling. I used to play soccer back in middle school, but I ran cross country in high school, so that didn't happen. But I do still like juggling, so it's like my favorite way to procrastinate for sure. So you ever see me doing that, I probably have something else to do. I want to talk a little bit about what I'm doing this summer because it's just another fun fact. I work at a snowball stand, and I understand that's kind of regional, but in Baltimore County they're pretty common. So basically a snowball is like a snow cone, but different. I think it's a little bit better, but I'm biased, so whatever. It's basically just like shaved ice, you put flavor on it. And something weird we do in Baltimore is we put like marshmallow on top, which it sounds weird. Everyone I've talked to thinks it's really weird, but I think it's amazing. So if you're ever in the county, feel free to try it. Highly recommend. I wanted to leave you with a little bit of advice, especially like in this class and also just moving forward in college in general. The first piece of advice is to get to know your classmates. And ENES 100 is a really cool class because just about every engineering major takes it. So, you get to meet a lot of different people with your own interests, but also slightly different ones. So it's just a great place to start forming those study groups, get people's contact information, and really just making friends, because this is a really fun class, and it'll be a lot more fun if you're friends with all of your teammates. So I highly recommend you kind of put an emphasis on team bonding, especially from the start. Another piece of advice I have for college is to get involved. That's one thing that helped me, especially starting out in college, not really knowing my way around or a lot of people. Just joining a bunch of different groups helps you just see what college has to offer, and it teaches you a lot of really awesome skills. And for me, it was always easier knowing that I could pull back and quit a couple clubs instead of just getting used to being in a routine of not having that. So especially if you're just starting college, don't be afraid of being overwhelmed. Just join a bunch of things. You'll learn the campus if that's all you do. But yeah, I would say it's easier to quit a couple than it would be to just join a couple later. Another piece of advice for engineering especially is to persevere. Like, it's no secret that this is not the easiest major or easiest field to study in the school, but it is worth it to stick with it. And even though you might have a couple classes where you have a really bad first exam or two, don't freak out. Just start going to office hours, talk to your professor, use those study groups and those resources. Because there's nothing better than getting that 90 and above after failing the first 2 exams. It's 100% worth it to stick with it and just see the power of perseverance. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening, and can't wait to meet you all. See ya!
Hi, I'm Aadya, and I'm really excited to be your new UTF with Emily and Michael. So I'll start off by telling you a little bit about myself. I'm a rising junior majoring in mechanical engineering and math because I wanted to have a really stressful 4 years, but also because I want to use humanitarian engineering to help improve our lives and stop the exploitation that happens in the field of engineering. An example would be how we outsource a lot of labor and make it very cheap, and how we ship off a lot of our recycling and waste products to developing nations, which is bizarre and really wrong. I also want to work with sustainable housing, clean energy, water sanitation and sourcing, and definitely space and sea exploration. Math provides a great analytical framework for this, and it's applicable everywhere. Plus, it is kind of fun, at least for me. So at UMD, I'm involved with Engineers Without Borders. In fact, I'm on the Nicaragua project with Emily. She's really great. I love working with her, and you guys are going to love her too. And I'm also a treasurer for that. So I just graduated from the DCC Honors College, which I was part of for 2 years, and I'm going to be a TF for them in the fall. So if you're in that, I'm going to see you there very soon as well. And I'm also part of the UMD Hair satire paper. They write really great stuff and have really great videos. Check them out at the UMD Hair on TikTok and Instagram, and read their stuff at umdhair.com. I'm also part of French language organization Flow, and we also have really fun meetings. So as far as my hobbies go, I really like backpacking. This started in freshman year when I went on the backpacking trip with Terp Reckwell before the school semester started. and it was really fun. So then in the winter, I decided to go to Yosemite for like 10 days. And even though it was very cold, I enjoyed it a lot. You know, domestic flights are very, very cheap, especially if you book them early, and camping is free, you know? And in the winter, you don't see as many people. So all around, a great time. And I really love doing henna. It started in elementary school. I've always loved doing it. I usually just do it on myself, but if people really want, I can also do it on them. And I really, really love art. I think art is an integral part of everybody's lives. And for me, it was with sculpture in high school and making masks for Halloween and different costumes. And this last semester, I worked with a lot of my friends at UMD and a lot of other UMD students to make theatrical masks to express their experiences with mental health, because, you know, last year really took a toll on everybody. And their pieces are going to be shown in the Stamp Gallery from July 19th to August 12th. So that's like in Stamp Student Union. Definitely recommend you check it out. So I do want to end this with a short advice segment. And I was on the Crash Dummies team last year, and there were some things that I noticed that we did and didn't do that really helped us grow as a team. The first thing we did is we did a team bonding before we even started working on the project. We went to Nando's, had some dinner, and, you know, got to know each other. Of course, you can't always, you know, go to Nando's, but there are other ways to like bond with your team over Zoom, playing games. It really helps you get to know each other, get to know how to work with each other, and get to like each other even before you start working on the project. Communication is also really important. You want to make sure everyone's on the same page. And compromising is also very important. You don't want to invalidate an idea. It's not great for the team dynamic. Plus, there might be some elements or aspects of the idea that might come in handy in the future. By the same token, you don't want to always be blind yes men and, you know, hype up every idea. You definitely still want to critique things and make sure you have a solid and comprehensive design and solution. Another thing that I noticed that really helped us is that we taught each other. Some people are more skilled at electronics or CAD, and we really helped each other learn and grow through this class, because this class is not just about learning from Mike, it's also about learning from one another. And finally, the most important thing is having fun, because if you're not, there's no point. So I want to move on to some more UMD specific advice, and I want to start off by saying that mental health is very important. And I really encourage you to talk to your professors if you need an extension or help with an assignment early on. But even if it comes to the point where you just email them at 1 a.m. the night before it's due, it's okay. They're a lot more understanding than you think. Of course, don't do it regularly, but this is coming from personal experiences, because last year a lot of professors were very sympathetic to what students were going through, and they were also going through some things themselves. Another thing is that there are stupid questions. Those questions are stuff that you can find on the syllabus, and you will definitely get shut down if you try to ask it. So definitely read the syllabus, know what's on it, and then any other questions you have will be fine. If you want to, when you're signing up for classes, check out ratemyprofessor.com first. If they have a 1 or 2 rating, or maybe even 3, try to avoid them. RUMD also has some really great advice, but you will still end up with classes with sucky professors, but you still have to pass the class. So that is when you try to help each other out. You chat in the Zoom, chat in the group me, make like review sessions with each other, find YouTube videos, and leave the professor a bad review. One more thing that is very important that nobody told us, I'm not sure if you know it, but your information is not confidential to other UMD students. There's a website that people can go on and find everybody's addresses and phone numbers. So you want to go to testudo.umd.edu, go to change address/email, and then make your profile access confidential. It'll take like a couple days, 2 to 3 days to actually register in the system. But yeah, do that as soon as possible. So there is a lot more advice that I do want to tell you, but I don't have the time. I definitely recommend you check out the PowerPoint. And I just want to say I'm very excited to work with you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.